afternoon, everybody. We're just gonna wait for a couple people to come in. Just sit back, enjoy the vibes a little bit. Good afternoon. Right. Come on in. Come on in. I own this music. I created it, so it's mine. So. Alrighty. Okay, we're gonna leave it there. How's everybody doing today? Good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of Sunday Encouragement with your boy Carl Seaman Anderson. Well, we've had an interesting week, to say the least, and the weekend has been even more interesting. First of all, I want to say that destroying and vandalizing and terrorizing your own neighborhood will accomplish nothing. It will accomplish nothing. Nothing at all. It's bad enough that we, as a community, most of the community, a lot of our community is struggling to even survive in this world, that we live in anyway, in this society, and the lack of resources that there are, the resources, half the resources that are there are not even worth being resources for our community. That's a whole nother topic of discussion. But I want to say that furthermore, destroying our community and destroying what some folks call a job and things of that nature, destroying that will get us nowhere and will accomplish nothing. So that being said, I really encourage those that have, who may even be contemplating about doing something, think about the domino effect that it will have on folks. Think about how the impact, good afternoon, just think about the impact that it will have on your local economy, things of that nature, man. Like I've been saying, I never thought that when God gave me this theme for this year, hashtag it's okay to work on you, how that would play out this year, how it would certainly play out in every aspect of our lives, man. From economics to health, spiritually, to social. It's very interesting to say the least. And I wanted to talk about something today, which I think is very important when it comes to us. Hashtag it's okay to work on you. One of the things I struggling with this week, I can only speak from personal experiences, and I pray that it will enlighten you somehow. I was thinking about, when we're working on ourselves, how important it is for us to understand the importance of the person or people that's involved or that's in our environment, right? That's around us, right? A lot of times I don't think we understand how influential people's presence, their thoughts, what they speak, all of those things, how important that is to our well-being and how effective we are in life, right? Ultimately, yes, we have to make that decision, decide for ourselves what's best for us, and we move and walk in that, right? But a lot of times we don't understand how important that is, So when we don't have it, right, when we don't have the support, when we don't have those positive reinforcements, when we may not have the necessary, connections, right? a networking circle or whatever, to push us forward, we can become very discouraged, right? And then it seems like everything that we're doing to better ourselves, right, to work on ourselves, whether it be our health, finances, whatever, it seems like it's just in vain, right? Sometimes it's just be like, man, what the hell? I don't care. You know, I'm not going to do this. And that's how I felt this week, man. You know, just I felt this week. And it fell on me so hard Friday night when I was working. And just the reality of just some things, right? You know, you start thinking about it. Then you start asking yourself, like, what have I been doing to others for that to be done to me, right? Or what haven't I done, right? Or where have I fallen short, right? Because, you know, at the end of the day, when you're working on yourself, you know, you have to constantly ask yourself, well, you know, how did I position myself? Or what have I done to put myself in this position, right? Sometimes it's not always you. It could be things, hey, it could be, you know, doesn't necessarily be any one particular thing that you've done, right? You know, even in this season, you know, it could be things that have happened years ago, right? And we tend to forget the importance of what it is to truly support and encourage and be there for others, right? So you know, I get questions all the time about the music business. You know, how you get started. You know, what can you say? Or what's your best advice for someone who wants to get into business and things of that nature? And you know, and I reposted a post that I posted. I think it was like last year, maybe a couple of years ago, about, you know, your people trail is just as important as your paper trail. And that's true. You know, I started looking back on the people that have helped cultivate, nurture, and invest in me, right? Outside of my parents and, you know, my immediate circle. And then you start asking yourself, like, well, how much of a, you know, positive influence and negative influence? Because, you know, you have to look at both sides, right? Just like what's happening right now. It's easy for us to harbor on the negative things of the community, harbor on those cops that mean us no good, right? Law enforcement, you know, wherever your attention is directed to, right? But I just want to say that we always have to have a balance. You have to look at the good and the bad, the right and the wrong, the ups and downs when it comes to life. And when I realized that, and I started looking at some people, realizing some folks, the level of influence that I have around me, the level of influence I am to others, and, you know, what they're doing, pursuing in life, I had to ask myself, like, you know, well, how much energy and time am I really putting into that? You know, when we're sitting and we're dwelling on why we're not where we want to be in life, and where we're not going in life, and what's the holdup, right? What are some of the pitfalls, right? I'm very hard on myself. Very hard on myself. So, sorry, I gotta get some water here. And very hard on myself, to say the least. A lot of times, maybe at times I may be too hard on myself, but I don't know. For me, I guess it just keeps me humble. You know, because I know some folks who don't believe they do anything wrong, who don't have, you know, it's like they just whatever. It's, you know, it's their way or no way. I personally live like that, you know, because of what comes from that. You know, what comes, you know, I believe what you put out necessarily is definitely what you get back, you know, in life. And it may not always be the same way you put it out. So you have to be careful about, mindful of that. I digress, I'm sorry. My whole point of what I'm saying is that understanding that when you have, you know, people talk about, especially with life coaches, they always talk about, you know, building a strong team, right? What it is to have those folks, you know, they're always always encouraging what to do to build from within, right? What do you have to do to build inside, right? You know, and one of the things that's been frustrating for me is that, you know, getting to the production side of the business, you know, I don't know a lot of the equipment, don't know a lot of the programs, don't know a lot of the things that coincide with being involved in production. I've been a live musician for over 30 some years now. So getting into the production side of something, it's difficult. You know, at times it's really can be overwhelming because your mind is so consumed with, okay, did I follow the right process? I follow the right procedures, right? Or, it's like being on stage, it's just got to worry about the arrangements, and now that music has evolved, live arrangements have evolved where now, you can actually learn the arrangement of the song and you play to a click or play to backing tracks. Boom, What's up, brother? It allows you to be, it pretty much prepares you as well as give you, a better guide in what you're doing when it comes to the music. Well, production side is a little different, once you learn it, it's not always necessarily, going to stay the same, and especially with the way music is today, it's constantly changing. So that means is that, I reach out to people. I have a certain number of folks that when I need, some guidance on something, I can reach out to them, whether it be text message, FaceTime, whatever the case is, right? But then there's moments where it gets frustrating where it's like, man, like anything else, you need help, you raise your hand, right? You've been in the classroom, you raise your hand, the teacher be like ignoring you, you should be like, focus on what the process, focus on what I told you, I showed you, and it's like, yeah, but it's like, I still need some help, and at times it gets frustrating because a lot of times when I want to reach out to those individuals, those people that I reach out to, a lot of times they're not there for whatever reasons. I don't take it as a negative thing, I just, everybody has their own lives, and everybody ain't gonna be there for you when you need them. Because that's just life itself, right? I'm not there for everybody, or every time somebody calls me, I'm not there for them. So okay. But the frustrating thing is that a lot of times when you're establishing, building in life, and you ask yourself, how much have I done to really make sure that I'm properly preparing myself for the next place, the next phase of where I'm going in life? So this is what the point I want to get to. I understand that we need folks. We definitely need people around us. We definitely need people. We need folks that are going to help say, hey, man, use this knob. Don't use this knob. Go this direction. You may want to go this direction. You may want to take this path. Go right instead of going left. Blah, 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 right? But also, too, we have to also do what we need to do to better prepare ourselves, right, for the task at hand. And I certainly believe that the way my life has been for me is that, God will have people around me, but he'll have folks around me to encourage me enough to get me started, but to encourage me to say, hey, you can do it for yourself. Just take some time, invest some time, right? Cultivate, nurture, invest some time in it. And you'll figure it out on your own, right? And sometimes you get pissed off because you be like, man, shoot, you're here. Why I need to figure it out on my own? If I got a question, let me ask you. Well, that being said, I talked about this a little bit yesterday about how I just got very frustrated yesterday, just thinking about where I was and thinking about, with everything that's been going on with COVID-19 and things of that nature and family stuff and some things personally, it's just like, man, how did I get here, And then you feel like there's a brick wall in front of you because you feel like even with what you're doing, it's like you don't see the progress, right? So think about that, of what we're seeing that's happening this weekend, what's happened this weekend. People feel like, well, yeah, we've been committed, we've done this, we've done that, and then there's some people who feel like, well, man, that has been enough. So we're gonna do we're gonna go to our default. We're gonna fall on our default. So we're gonna take our frustration, our rage, and all our hurts and pains, and all of that out on what? Our environment, the things that we're around, places that we live, because we've got to let it out. We can't keep it in. We can't worry about progress. I don't want to hear nobody say to me, let's let the legal system, let's let the legal system do what it's going to do. No, we're not waiting for that. And we've seen it so many times. We saw it with Trayvon Martin. We've seen it with Michael Brown. We've seen it, Ferguson. And, we saw it in Baltimore, people. And so I've always said this. In order for us as a community to get to where we're going to be, we have to work together. We have to come together. As well as understanding, I've learned that you have to know your part and understand the importance of what you bring to the table and educate and prepare yourself to be a piece of the process, to be a piece and be a part of, you know, the process of moving forward, not the problem. So it may seem I'm going like a few different directions, but my point is that I'm getting to, and my point that I'm coming to is the fact that we all play a part, right? And in order for us to be productive and to achieve the goals that we set for ourselves, we must do what we need to do to prepare ourselves. Just as a drummer, like a drummer, I am as a drummer for a band, for different mini bands. There is a certain level of preparation that as a drummer I must do. Like as the drummer, I must listen to the beats. I must listen to breakdowns and things of that nature. So when I collectively come together with the band overall, I know my part. I know how to count it off. I know the directions. I know what roles or whatever is going to lead into certain sections of the group, to certain sections of the song. If I do not prepare myself in that way, then what's going to happen? It's going to cause a ripple effect across the band, across the group. And especially if they are depending on me, because in some situations I am the MD, the music director. If I'm lost, then that means I'm going to affect everyone around me. You look at our black community today, we don't have a lot of true leadership. We really don't have a sense of direction where we need to go. We don't have an agenda where we can continue to know that this is where we're making progress. So we can see if we're making progress or not, you know. It's hard to make progress or see where progress is if you have no agenda, if you have no goals in mind. That's why I always say, we always keep talking about, people always talk about finances. We need financial freedom. Okay, financial freedom to do what? What? Okay, so we need financial freedom, to build our education system, to build our health system in our communities, to build our communities and stuff. I mean, it's a lot more than just money. And I had to understand this. It's just not. There's a lot more than just having equipment. It's a lot more than just having people who know. But if you don't know yourself, what you have around you, then obviously you're not going to be effective in what you do. I know some people are like this. I've been guilty of this. I'll get something that has to, you have directions. It may be maybe a little table or stand or something that you have to put together, right? Okay. And you see the picture on the box, right? But when you open, you see the directions, and they have all the pieces that go with that particular piece, furniture, whatever. They have them labeled. May have them labeled like 1 through 14 or A, B, C, A through Z or whatever the case is. And there's a process that goes with that, right? You have to follow the process, right? In order for the pieces to fit, in order for those pieces to come together. So at the end result, what is the end result? You have the finished product, right? Okay, great. So, a lot of my frustration this week, a lot of my frustration in life has been, I know a lot of frustration for a lot of folks in life is that we feel like, I'm just spinning around. I'm going in circles and I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing. Because we have forgot the importance of what it is to set a goal, and then setting that goal, jotting down the steps to achieve that goal. One of the things our community is suffering from is that we have no goals. I mean, we talk about we want financial freedom. We want certain things to happen in our community. But at the end of the day, what are we doing to plan for that? What are we doing to plan for that? And this is why a lot of times I say when I sit down in meetings with people, whether it be community activists, political leaders, spiritual leaders, people of all walks of life from the community, we sit down at the table, it ends up being more about ego and who's not doing what and why I don't like this person, instead of us sitting down and saying, hey, like Killer Mike said, he said, we need to be worrying about strategizing, organizing, and mobilizing in our community. I mean, it seems like we can. It seems like we're easy. We can organize, be confused, but what are we doing to organize to actually change the narrative in our community? What are we doing in our lives to actually change the narrative in our lives? Because it's easy to get pissed off and mad because you don't have money, or even with the job that you work in, you're like, man, this ain't getting me nowhere. Okay, then you know what? Then you need to educate yourself. about what you're doing, what you're trying to achieve, and then you need to find out what direction in life you need to go in order to achieve that. And see, and this is the problem that I think a lot of us have, is that because we don't have that blueprint, we don't have a sense of direction. We just, whatever comes our way that helps us to get maybe a step, it may even give us a whole step, it may even give us a half a step further. We'll be like, man, I accomplished something. No, because then like 3 weeks later, you're right back in the hole or the rut that you were in before. So I've learned is that, and what I took from going through what I went through Friday night at work was, I have to do the necessary things to properly prepare myself for the goals and things I've set in my life, the next step in my life, the next whatever what those things I want to achieve in life. I have to do the proper preparation. I have to do the proper investigating, cultivating, nurturing, as well as investing. Investing doesn't always mean money. That can mean time. You know what I'm saying? If we're not going to really educate ourselves, that's why I said, election season, it always comes up, rock the vote, your vote matters. Okay, so take the time to really investigate those leaders, those people that are, those candidates that are, going after these different seats or in these elections, and see where you line up with them. Because it's easy for us to say, some things are obvious, but it's easy for us to say, I'm not going to vote for this person. Why? Have some clarity, have some understanding about why you're not. I've learned in life you can't always go with, what the majority says. Because sometimes the majority can be being led wrong, being led by the blind. So if you don't know yourself, that's where frustration comes from. And I said, my point that I was making with, the people that we have around us, I've always had people who were very educated, very in tune with what they wanted to do in life. That's why they were able to accomplish it. But what came from it was I had to learn that they had to put time and energy into what they needed to do so they could be in a position to teach and to give back. So I hope if anything you catch today is that it's important, it's very important to have people around us. And it's important that you recognize who's around you and how important they are and what they mean to you. But at the end of the day, understanding the process of what has gotten them to be where they are in life. And if we practice those principles, instead of just wanting to practice achieving, getting the goal or meeting the goal, but what do we do in achieving the goal? That's one thing that we, we talk about hashtag it's okay to work on you. We live in a today's society where it's very microwavable. Everything we want instant. Relationships, everything. Money, health, everything. But we don't understand the process. We don't understand the process that goes into it. So where my frustration turned into more understanding was when I left work Saturday morning, yesterday morning. I left with a peace of mind. I was like, well, you know what? I haven't really prepared myself to be more effective in what I want to achieve, which is more the production side of music business, right? Understanding the equipment that I have, right? I remember there's a good friend of mine, he's like an uncle to me, and he was sharing with me about a story, a saxophone player. He was sharing a story about a young man that wanted to play saxophone. The young man wanted a particular brand of a saxophone, and his mother, he was mad because his mother wouldn't pay the money for that particular brand. But she was able to get him a saxophone, right? But it wasn't this particular brand of saxophone. And, he told the young man, he said, look, man, be thankful that you have a saxophone, man. There's some people who want equipment, who want certain things. Can't even have it. They're not even in a position to even get it, let alone get what you have, right? So appreciate what you have. Utilize it. Build, cultivate, nurture, invest your craft, right? Because at the end of the day, the piece of equipment, it doesn't matter what equipment you have. If you don't invest the time and invest and cultivate, nurture, nurture, and invest in your craft, you can have a $10,000 saxophone, but play like a $2 player. Why? Because you don't invest, you don't put the time into it. So I had to realize, I said, well, my frustration is not because when I reach out to certain people, they don't call back, or what I need from them I'm not getting. Is no, it's because my frustration is the fact that I'm not properly preparing myself. I'm not doing it. I'm not figuring out troubleshooting, whatever I need to do to get to, to accomplish what I'm trying to accomplish. A lot of times, man, when you actually sit back and read something, take time to listen and learn, right? And follow a process, you actually find out that it's not as hard as it seems. Right? Exactly. So, what's happening this week, what's happening in our communities, that's been happening for centuries, not just, not just years, but centuries, okay? We have to take the time to really change the narrative, and how we're going to do that, we have to sit down as a community, and we really have to start talking about what are we going to do to fight these battles, to fight these wars that we have going on in our economics and our health and our school system. If we're not going to properly prepare ourselves to change the narrative, then the narrative that is, then we will always be in a place, in a position, for others to put a narrative or create a narrative for us. I use my health as an example. If I hadn't changed the process, if I hadn't changed the things that I was doing, right, my health would be worse. Who knows if I would be here this time, right? One of our deacons at our church sent us a picture from last year, this time. And I was looking at the picture and said, my Lord, I couldn't believe how big I was. I couldn't believe it. And it was because of the support team that I had that really encouraged me to do the necessary things to follow through, right? To follow through the process, right? It goes back to what I'm saying. Listen to these key words. These words I'm talking, all these words are play a factor in what I'm talking about. Process, following through, stay the course, educating ourselves, cultivate, nurture, investing. All those things are part of the process. Part of the process of you achieving and want to achieve your goals that you're setting out for yourself. You can't do anything in life without having some type of plan. And once you have the plan, then you have to be able to have those steps in place to be able to follow through, to be able to ultimately accomplish your goal, to execute the plan, right? You have to have those steps in place to execute the plan. So I prayed and asked God to just give me a fresh new mind, to give me a fresh approach, and take one day at a time, and to just do the necessary things, not to try to, pile everything at one time, but just to take one step and one thing at a time, and and set those little goals, right? The short term as well as the long term goals for myself. And you're working that every day, then you don't have time to be caught up in foolishness. You don't have time to get caught up with what's not happening. Because why? Because you're so focused on what is happening and what you need to be doing, you don't have time to focus on those things that are not happening. You won't have time to focus on the people that are not helping, or you want help and they're not busy. They're busy and can't help. You won't have time for that. Because why? Because you're doing what you need to do on your end to make sure that, hey, I'm here, I'm a little stumped. I'm stumped on something, right? But hey, can you just help me? What is this? The procedure or the process is this, but now I'm learning, to go this direction. What's your take on it? Instead of me saying, hey, how do you do this? I'd rather ask somebody, say to somebody, hey, look, man, I was looking this up and I saw this, how the process goes, but I'm running into a couple, hang-ups, hiccups here. What should I do? What's your suggestion? Bam. And that's the same thing same approach we have to take in what's going on in the community. Same approach. We have to do better for ourselves. We have to do better by ourselves. And when I say by ourselves, and I gotta go, my time is up. When I say by ourselves, I don't mean being divided, but what I'm saying is that we can do a lot for ourselves if we take the if we take the initiative to realize the importance of what we all have and what we're bringing to the table, and be able to utilize that for the greater good, for the overall, looking at it from the, looking at how it's going to impact overall, right? Not just an individual, but how it's going to impact all of our communities. My prayers go out to George Floyd's family, as well as our community, all the black men, black and brown brothers and sisters. Let's just continue to keep the faith. Let's stay focused. Let's stay positive. And let's do what we need to do to build ourselves in our community, not tear our community down and not destroy our community, man. Guys, I pray that you have a great week. Stay focused. I'll see you guys next week for another edition of Sunday Encouragement. Thank you guys for tuning in for Lyrics of the Heart on Friday mornings. I'll see you guys Friday as well, Friday morning. Got a lot of great things happening. I'm working on a lot of great things for, Lyrics of the Heart and Sunday Encouragement. It's time to elevate, take things to another level, man. And but I just want to say I thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for all those that are viewing today. I had over almost like 8 or 9 new people who became friends on Lyrics of the Heart, man. So continue to share this page with your friends, man. Continue to share Lyrics of the Heart with your friends and family, man. This is very, I use this platform to be able to share things that, that matter to my heart. And I certainly believe that more that we are educated, and the more we're educated, and the more we can address these things, right? Not just go through the flow and just continue to deal with them, right? So you guys have a great week, and I'll see you very soon. Be blessed.